Welcome back. We're up to Masechtas Chagigah, page 15b. We finished the story about the passing of Achar, and now we're moving on to the daughter of Achar. So the Gemara starts, Bita shel Achar, the daughter of Achar, Osya lekamai de Rebbe, came before Rebbe, Omarlai, and she asked from Rebbe, Parnosaini, give me parnosa, give me money to live. She had no money to live. So the Rebbe didn't know who she is. So the Rebbe asks, Umrilah, he asks her, Bas mi'at, whose daughter are you? Umrilah, she answered, Umrilah, Bita shel Achar ani, I'm the daughter of Achar. Umrilah, so the Rebbe didn't right away accept her. So he said to her, Adayin yesh mizaroi be'olam, are there still of his offsprings living in this world? And the Rebbe is now quoting a phrase from a pasuk where it says, Lo nin loi v'no lechet loi ba'amoy v'ayin surit bin girav, which basically means there's no kid or other grandkids left over of the wicked. So the Rebbe was like wondering, does he have kids left over that are alive? Amri Loi, so she told them, Zechor le'torusoi, remember his Torah, v'al tizker masav, and don't remember his deeds. Meaning he was one of you guys. He was sitting, he was learning. Remember his Torah and help me. Don't remember his deeds. And when she said that, Meyat yarda aish, right away a fire came down, and it burned the chair that Rebbe was sitting. And what happened right away is Bucha, Rebbe cried. Rebbe, and Rebbe said, he made like a kal v'chomer. For those who have disrespected Hashem, those who did not serve them, this is what happens. This is how much from heaven they protect him, that so far that a fire came down and burned my chair, is those who praise Hashem, Alachas kamu v'kamu, is of course from heavens they will protect him. They'll be sought after for protection. Now, of course, Rebbe afterwards helped his daughter when he saw this. But the Gemara is bringing this down as the continuation of the story, as we have learned last week, that those who don't live the Torah life don't even enjoy this world. Not them and not their offsprings. They're struggling. It's living a Torah life that gives us this world's life, and of course the world to come. So now the Gemara asks a question. The Reb Meir, how was Reb Meir able to learn Torah from the mouth of Achar? Okay, we know there's a locha. Rabba, the grandson of Chona, said, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, what's the pshat? What's the meaning of the pasuk where it says, the words of the Kohen that protects the mind, the Torah, because you should be listening to a Kohen or to the Rebbe, because he's like an angel, he's like a malach. So the pasuk, the Gemara says, the phrase is telling us, if your Rebbe is compared to an angel of Hashem, then then you should listen and accept the Torah that he's teaching you. The imlav, if he's not, you should not be accepting his learning from his mouth. So since we know this, you can only learn from a Rebbe that's like an angel. How was Reb Meir allowed to learn from Achar? So I want to take a little pause here before we go into the answer. What does it mean that we only allowed to learn Torah from someone who's like an angel? So we have translated before, we have said angels don't necessarily mean invisible things with wings that fly. Yes, angels exist, but sometimes people can be called angels. And here's another sign where you only learn from a person. We're talking here a Rebbe. You only learn from when he's compared to an angel. So you see here that a person is compared, can sometimes be called as an angel. But when does a person get called an angel? We've said that before, that when a person lives in a place of choice, that's when he's a human being. He makes a decision, that's a human being. He has bechira. But if he lives out of instinct, then he's an animal. And on the other side, if he lives out of muscle memory, out of something that he has already outgrown, it's not any more choice for him. He just does this every day because he's already so trained to do it, then he's an angel when it comes to do that. That's not anymore bechira. It's not anymore human. So when we talk here that we should learn from a Rebbe, means from someone who this teaching is already so easy for him. He has already passed that stage of this teaching, because for this, he's already an angel. He's already up to the next level. His challenges is already something a little more sensitive than this, or maybe more subtle, versus where or what he's teaching right now for his students. In this area, he's considered an angel. And that's basically what the Gemara is teaching us, that we should learn from someone in an area that that person in that area is considered an angel. So coming back to the question here, how was Ramayr allowed to learn from Acher? When Acher obviously did not practice what he preached. Did not practice, he went off the derech. So the Gemara answers, Umar Shlukish says, Ramayr kru ashkach v'durash. He found a different phrase, a different pusik. And the pusik says, Hat aznechu ishma. Put your ear and listen. Divrei chachomim, the words of the smart. V'libchu tushis ledati. And then your heart should filter based on your own mind. So it doesn't say ledatam, to their mind, to your mind. So basically what it means is put your ear, listen to what he's saying, but don't accept his way of thinking. See if that works with your thinking. And this is what Ramayr learned, that yes, I'm allowed to learn from Acher, even though he's not practicing it, even though he's not keeping the Torah, but I can still hear what he says, and to see if it fits with the Torah, I can accept. So this was the answer that Shlukish get. Rav Chanina gives an answer from a different phrase. The same answer though, but from a different phrase. Shimi bas iri. So listen up, my daughter, and see. Rati aznaich, and put your ear, listen with your ear. So from this phrase, now the Gemara doesn't bring the full phrase, but from this phrase you see that the Torah says, yes, you should listen up, but you don't have to accept everything. So if you're old enough, if you're big enough, you can filter. You can filter what to accept and what not to accept. But after all, we have a question here. We have two different phrases that are contradicting each other. We learned before that you should not learn Torah only from a rabbi that's like an angel. And now we have phrases that say you are allowed to learn Torah from someone who's not even practicing what he's preaching. And you should accept, you should filter what you get. You should be smart enough to know what to accept. So the Gemara answers, let me first read the question inside. Kusha krua aduda. So the question is here that we have a contradiction between the two psikim, the two phrases. The Gemara answers loikasha. It's not a big question. Why? Because kan begudal, kan bekutam. Where it says that you're allowed to learn and you should filter out what to accept and what not, that's a big grown person, or someone who's big already in Torah. He already has developed his own Torah mind. Then he has the capabilities now of filtering and seeing What can I or can I not accept? Who bekuten? Here where it says you're only allowed to learn from a Rebbe that's like an angel, we're talking about someone who's either young, he's a kuten, or he's still small with his Torah studies, and therefore he doesn't have enough to be able to filter out what he's getting, not knowing which part is right and which part is not. Someone like that should only learn from someone who's like an angel. So now the Gemara is going to bring a few more comparables as to what this is compared to. So the Gemara says, Rav Dima, which is his name, Rav Dima, when he came from Eretz Yisrael to Bovel, which is now Iraq, I would say. Amar, he would say, Amar b'Maruva, they say in the West, Maruva is in the West, and they say in the West because Iraq is east of Israel, so they say what they would say in Israel, Rabba Uchal Tachla, Ishdu Shichla Levuru, that the Mayer, he ate the fruit, the flesh of the fruit, and the seed or the peel he threw away. So basically, he knew what to eat. He knew what to accept from Acher. Durish Ruva. The Ruva once said a drosha. So he said, Madich Siv, he learned it on the Pusik where it says, El Ginois Egois Yidaditi, Lidos Be'ivai Anucha. So this is a phrase, a Pusik coming from Shir Hashirim, where we say that he went down, Hashem, I think it refers to Hashem, he went down to his garden where nuts grow. Egois is a type of nut that has a very hard shell. So the Gemara says that means that Hashem is dwelling, is coming in between the sages, between the Talmidei Chachamim, the students of the smart that sit and learn. So the Gemara is not saying why are Talmidei Chachamim, the students that learn the Torah, why are they compared like a nut? Laimelach has come to teach us, Ma ego zeh, just like this nut, even though this nut would fall off the tree and it would fall into mud or in filth or in anything, whatever is inside the nut is still protected. You can still come and break off the shell and have a nice clean nut to enjoy. So the Gemara says the same is with the Talmud Chacham. After Talmud Chacham, someone sits and learns Torah, even though in the end he went off, but the Torah that's within him does not get ruined. Stays in there and is protected like a shell inside a husk, like the nut that's protected inside its shell. So here comes a little story about the same topic. Ashkecher Rabba Bar Shila le'Eliyoi. Rabba Bar Shila, Rabba the son of Shila, met Eliyoi Hanovi. Amalai, he asked him, what is Hashem doing right now? Interesting question. Amalai, he answered that, you know the answer to him, Hashem is repeating over the Torah that he's learning, that he's hearing from all the Rabbanon, but from the words from Reb Meir, what Reb Meir says, he's not repeating over. So Rabbi, the son of Shaila, asked Eliyahu Amai, why? So the Gemara answers, Eliyahu answered him, because he learned Torah from Acher. So Hashem doesn't want to repeat what he's learning now, what he's saying. So Rabbi, the son of Shaila, said, Amai, but why? Reb Meir Rimoin Mutsu. Reb Meir is compared as if he found a pomegranate. He ate the seeds, and the shell he threw away. So why wouldn't Hashem say stuff from Remeir? Remeir was big. He understood what to accept and what not to accept. So Eliyahu answered, Hashtiku Umar, just now, because you said what you said that Remeir was okay with learning from Acher. So now Hashem is saying something in the name of Remeir. And how does it go? Eliyahu is repeating Hashem's words as to what Hashem is saying. So Hashem says, Meir b'ni Omer, my son Meir says, and what is it that Hashem wanted to say in his name? Something that he would say often. When a person is in pain, when a person is in trouble and is in pain, doesn't just mean physical pain, any pain. What does the Shekhinah say? Now we know the Shekhinah feels alone, which means Hashem feels alone with the pains that we all have. So when a person is in pain, Hashem says, Kilani ma'roishi, kilani mizroye. Oh, my head hurts. Oh, my hand hurts. Hashem, so to speak, also complains, also feels the pain, and he complains that his head or his arm hurts. So then he finished off saying, if this is how much Hashem is in pain on the blood of the wicked, of the bad people, then it's even more so to say, on the blood, on the righteous, that was poured, that was unrightfully poured, their blood. So Hashem most certainly is in pain on them. Now, one more thing the commentators say here. Why does Hashem say, my head, my arm hurts? Is one of the commentators say, because Hashem is wearing tefillin, like we are wearing tefillin, so is he wearing tefillin. In our tefillin, we say, Shema Yisroel, how we should listen up, Yisroel, that Hashem is one. But in Hashem's tefillin, it says, who is as a nation as my one nation in this world? So Hashem's tefillin is praising the Yidden, and our tefillin is praising Hashem. But when a person is not righteous, is not acting the way they need to, then Hashem is basically complaining on his tefillin. His head and his arm is the place where he puts his tefillin. He would complain on his tefillin that I'm praising my nation. Yes, but look what's going on. This guy's not really where I want him to be. So this is one of the commentators would say why the arm and the head, because that's where the tefillin goes. Mm-hmm. So here, we're not done yet. We're going to continue going all the way till Rebbe Kiva, till here, how he went in and he came out and nothing happened to him. But here is just on the same idea, another story about it. So Ashkech Shmiel Rabbi Hida. Shmiel once bumped into or met Rabbi Hida, the Slai Be'idra the Dashin, that he was leaning on the side of the door where you hang the door on. So it was basically the post of the door. He was leaning over it. The Kabucha, and he was crying. Omer Lai, so Shmiel, Rav Hida was a student. So Shmiel would reach out to his student, Shinana. Shinana is an expression that he would use. You sharp person, basically an expression of a sharp person, but he would use this as an expression of love to his students, expressing to them that how much he cares for them. So he calls them Shinana. Michael Buchus, why are you crying? Umar Lai, so Rav Hida answered to his Rebbe, Mi Zitra, is it then a small thing? And now he's going to read out a whole thing here of something that's so much heartbreaking for him. And is that not a small thing? So Madach Sif, what is it that it says in a phrase, Bahai ben Rabunan, for those sages, for those the Rabunan, it says, Ayai Soifer, Ayai Shoiker, Ayai Soifer Samigdulim. The Gemara is going to now translate and explain each section what it means. But I'm just going to say translation means Ayai Soifer, where is that writer? Ayai Shoiker, where is that person who can measure what's right, what's wrong, what's heavy, what's not? Ayai Soifer Hamigdulim, where is that person who would write the towers? What does it mean? The Gemara says like this: Ayai Soifer, where is the Soifer means Shehoyu Safran Kol Oisius B'Torah. Those people that would know how to write each and every letter in the Torah. Ayai Shoikai, what does it mean? Where are these Shoikai? Means Shoyu Shoklim Kalam V'Chamirim Shebatorah. They would know what's a lesser stringency and what's a stronger stringency in the Torah, and they would know how to compare. Because we know one of the 13 ways of learning in Torah is a kal v'chomer. If we see something that is not so stringent, has this stringency, has this rule, then something that's even more to be careful by should certainly have this rule. That's how this kal v'chomer works. But it's a very hard thing to do, because if you want to stand on the leg of this saying that this is harsher than this, then you really need to know everything about it and not find that there's an exception. This has one exception that this doesn't have, and therefore you can't compare the two anymore. So that's why it's a very harsh thing to be able to do. And those people who are able to do them, where are they? Where are these sages? And now the last one, the third one, is Ayai Sofer Hamigdulim. We said Sofer means the writing of the towers. But here we're going to see, the Gemara says, Shehoyu Shoinim Sheloi Shmayes Haluchas, because they learned 300 haluchas about Migdal HaParayich Ba'aver, about a Migdal, which means a tower that's flying in the air. Okay, so this is very encryptic words here. And the Gemara here has many different interpretations. The commentators decide as to what does this mean, a tower that's flying in the air. But basically, what it means is, I'm just giving you the common denominator now, but I'm going to give you the translations as well as what the commentators say. It means that the people who understand deeper than just what the Pusik says, something way bigger in Torah. So, for example, the first translation of Parayach Ba'aver, something that flies in the air, is the letter Lamet. We know the letter Lamet has a kuf in the Torah, and then it has a vav on top. And that vav is not straight up, it's slanted to the left side. That's how the Lamet is written in the Torah. And there had 300 halachas as to how that Lamet, and that's what it's called, that it's flying in the air, because that vav that's on top of the kuf, that looks like it's flying in the air. That's one thing. Another thing here is that there was a tower built in Bavel in Iraq, and the sages, they knew 300 halachas about that tower. And they say that tower was built in the time of Dara Floga. We know after the big flood, after Noach, there was a time where the people wanted to go up and fight with Hashem, so there shouldn't be another flood. So that's basically what they called it. Was a tower that was floating in the air, and the sages knew 300 halachas about it. A third translation, what does it mean that it's floating in the air? That we're talking about the halachas, the laws of impurity. When there is a vessel that's the handle of the vessel goes through a door, where in that door, in that room, there is a dead body, which we know everything in the room gets toma, gets impure. So here they knew 300 halachas. What happens with this vessel that wasn't fully in that room, was only partially in the room? The fourth translation here, the fourth meaning that it could mean, is that they knew 300 halachas for someone who's leaving Eretz Yisrael. We know the sages instituted that anyone who leaves Eretz Yisrael, they automatically become tomai, impure, because of the worries that maybe they passed over a grave, they stepped on a grave, and there was a dead body there, and that penetrated the impurity into that person. So if someone leaves Eretz Yisrael, but he's on a wagon that has its own separation, that you could call this its own oil, its own dwelling, although nobody lives underneath it, but it still gives you that space. Does that constitute as a dwelling so that you can say that the tumai doesn't penetrate, the impurity doesn't penetrate to that person who's there or not? And the fifth translation I see here is that the sages knew 300 ways how to get something to fly up in the air using black magic. Although we're not allowed, the Torah forbids using black magic, but the sages needed to know all this about black magic so that they can judge someone who has transgressed or not. And because they needed to have their own courts to be able to judge if someone transgressed or not, therefore they needed to know all that. So therefore they say they were so big, they knew 300 ways on how to make something, a tower, fly up in the air with black magic. Okay, so we have many different translations. What does it mean, a tower flying in the air? But as I said before, the common denominator, what we're talking about here, is about these sages that were so smart, that knew so much Torah. Where are they now? And the Gemara is still going on and saying where it happened. Umar of Amr, and Amr says, the Gemara says that 300 questions was asked from Achitophel, Doeg and Achitophel, these are two names, about this idea, about this tower that flies in the air, for whatever translation it means. And not only that, remember, we're still up to here where Shmuel is explaining what this big deal is that he's crying about. So not only that, about how big these people were, Isnam, and we also learned Shaloshu Meluchim, three kings, Varbu Hedyots, and 4 regular people. Einuhem Chadik La'olam Habu. They don't have a portion in the world to come, in Gan Eden. So now that we see how big they were, and yet 3 kings and 4 regular people did not even make it into Olam Habu, Anan Matahayalan. What's going to happen with us? This is where Shmuel concludes that he's crying. What chance do we have to survive and make it to the world to come if they were so big and they didn't make it? Omerlai, so now we come, Shmuel answering back to Rav Hida, Omerlai, Shinenu, again using this term to a student. Tinna hoyse belibam. Although these people were so big, they had some issue in their hearts. They weren't as pure within their hearts, and therefore it cost to them. But for you, you shouldn't worry. This shouldn't be happening to you. Sorry for the interruption. It was my son calling a few times, and I thought it was an emergency. So now that the Gemara says that these people had something wrong with them to begin with, therefore they didn't end up righteously. They didn't end up to merit Gan Eden. So the Gemara asks, so what happened with Achar? Achar were also one of those who didn't merit. Remember, we learned the story that Yochanan had to hold him by his hand to take him into Gan Eden. So the question here is, what happened with Achar? Achar Mai. You're telling me that these people had some trouble with them in the beginning? What was the trouble with Achar? So the Gemara says a few things. Number one, Zemer Yevuni Loipusag Mipimin. he kept on singing songs from not kosher authors. So not kosher songs from not kosher sources that he would sing. And that was something he always had, that issue. And that's something that he wasn't absolutely pure when he came in to learn with Torah, that Torah should protect him. Amri Ulaf, and there are those who say on him, Al-Achar, on Achar, at the time when he was standing up in the Medrash from learning, from his studies, many books of unkosher books would fall out from under his arm, meaning he would hide them under his cloth, under his arm. He would have many books from not good sources, and he would read them too. So he always had those challenges even before he came to learn Torah. He wasn't just as pure in Torah, he always had that challenges, and therefore he had that issue in the end that it all backfired on him. So here the Gemara finishes off with one little story to it. Shual Nimois Hagardi. Nimois Hagardi was a very big philosophic debater, or he was learning a lot of philosophy. And he would ask Ramaya, Kol Aime the Nuchas the Yuroi Sulak. He asked the question in a trick like this: all the wool that you put into the dye, in the pot to dye, comes back dyed? What he means to say, you want to tell me that the Torah protects everyone who learns it? Not everyone comes back even, or not all the wool that comes back out of the dye comes back purely dyed. Omalai, so Ramaya answered him, Kolman dahaven nuki agav amai sulat. Everything that was as clean as it came off from the sheep, the wool was as clean as it could be, that went in, all that comes back clean, comes back fully dyed. Called the luhaven nuka agav amai. If something was not as clean as if it just came off from its mother, meaning from the sheep that it was just taken off from, lusulak, then these are already tainted, they're already greased, and those do not come up with the proper dye on them. This is where we're going to pause. And here we want to walk away with something. So we learn a very straightforward lesson here, that coming to learn Torah, we have to come in as young and as pure as we can, because that's when the Torah comes in as the first seed, as the first dye, and that holds and that protects us for the rest of our life, versus someone who already has tainted, already has some other ideas, and now they come learn Torah. They have a much higher hill to climb. They have a lot more to achieve, to be able to accomplish. And we also learn here as to why this happened to Achim, because he wouldn't give his full heart for the Torah. He was still challenging with unkosher songs, with old unkosher books that he was reading. We're going to pause here. If you want to add anything, any questions?
No, good.
Thank you so much. Until next time, have a good week.